Hello everyone, welcome back to Automobile Engineering course. We will continue our discussion on transmission system. In today's lecture we are going to look at what is a clutch and its function, followed by requirements of a clutch, and then at the end we are going to look at operation of single plate clutch. Before we proceed further, let us first look at the classification of clutches. Clutches are broadly classified as shown here. Among these classification, our focus is on friction clutches. The name itself suggests that these clutches operate on a principle of friction. The idea here is if we have two members, when they are brought in contact with each other and pressed against, and if one member rotates, the other member also rotates. So this is the idea being explored here. Based on this principle, we have further classification as shown here. Among this, we are going to look at single plate clutch operation in today's class. Now, a clutch is a device used in the transmission system as shown here, and we see that the clutch is going to help with engaging and disengaging the transmission unit to that of the engine. And when the clutch is in engaged condition, the power that is produced inside the engine will be transmitted along the transmission line and then to the wheels as shown. And if the clutch is disengaged, then the power that is produced inside the engine will remain in itself and the vehicle will come to the halt. However, the engine will be in running condition. Looking at the requirements of a clutch, we expect the clutch to transmit maximum torque. It has to avoid sudden jerks, and the heat that is generated because of the friction has to be minimized, and the dynamic balancing has to be looked in because of the high speed of the engine and the vibrations that are set up because of the engine and the vehicle has to be eliminated along the transmission units, and the load that is coming on the pedal has to be greatly reduced. The clamping load has to be reduced, thereby really reducing the strain that comes on the rest of the part of the pedal. Moving further, we'll look at the constructional features of the single plate clutch. The clutch basically has three members: driving member, driven member, and operating member. And the driving member has a flywheel along with the rest of the components. Similarly, the driven member has a clutch plate with perforation, and then we have operating member, which consists of foot pedal and the rest of the components. Looking at these members individually, we see that the flywheel is mounted on the crankshaft and it has a cover which is firmly bolted on either side, and this cover has a pressure plate housed inside along with pressure springs, and it has a releasing lever which is pivoted on one side, and the whole assembly is going to rotate when the crankshaft rotates. Then we have a disc here which is part of driven member. It has a perforations along as shown here, and this helps in the longitudinal movement of the disc on the clutch shaft. And then we have the operating member which has foot pedal along with the rest of the components. When these three members are assembled together, we are going to look at the unit which is shown here, and when the load that comes on the pedal, then we see that there is a force which is generated which is acting along the shaft. And because of this, the releasing lever, which is because of this pivoting point, there is a opposite force which is produced. Due to this, the clutch plate is going to get disengaged from the flywheel, thereby the assembly becomes independent to that of crankshaft and no power is transmitted. When the load is released from the pedal, then the clutch plate will be again engaged to the flywheel and the entire assembly becomes one unit and the power is transmitted. So we recommend the further materials to read, and thank you for your attention. In case of any queries, please feel to contact me on the following email ID. Thank you very much.